My brother took over Dad's house and banned our family from it. I'm standing on the front porch of my childhood home, fumbling with my key that won't turn in the lock, when I realize my brother Marcus has already won the first battle. The locks have been changed. Mom's voice behind me is barely a whisper, but I catch the tremor in it. She's clutching a casserole dish that Mrs. Henderson from next door made for us, her knuckles white against the ceramic. He actually changed the locks. It's been exactly 8 days since we buried Dad. 8 days since Marcus stood at the graveside in his expensive suit, the one he definitely couldn't afford on his construction supervisor's salary, and gave that perfectly rehearsed speech about carrying on Dad's legacy. 8 days since he hugged each of us and promised we'd get through this together as a family. My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus, * house needs to be secured during estate proceedings. We'll contact everyone when it's appropriate to retrieve personal items. This is temporary *. Temporary my ass, I mutter, showing the screen to my younger sister Jenna, who drove up from college as soon as I called her. She's supposed to be studying for finals, but instead she's here watching our older brother play some sick power game with our grief. He can't just do this, right? Jenna's voice cracks. Like, legally? Dad didn't even have a will. That's the problem. Dad was only 62 when the heart attack took him. Healthy as a horse, or so we thought. The kind of man who changed his own oil and still helped Mom hang Christmas lights every December. He kept saying he'd get around to writing a will when he got old. Mom sets the casserole on the porch swing and pulls out her phone with shaking hands. I'm calling Marcus right now. This is ridiculous. Half of your father's clothes are still in that bedroom. Your grandmother's china is in there. The photo albums. Her voice breaks on the last words, and I want to put my arm around her, but I'm too angry to comfort anyone right now. Through the living room window, I can see the empty spot where Dad's recliner used to sit. Marcus must have already been inside, already started, what? Taking inventory? Deciding what's worth keeping? The phone rings 4 times before Marcus picks up. Mom puts it on speaker. Hey, Mom. I know this is hard, but... Open this door right now, Marcus James. Mom's using her full mom voice, the one that used to make all 3 of us kids snap to attention. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but... It's not a game. His voice is calm, measured. The same tone he used to use when he'd explain to Dad why his latest get-rich-quick scheme was actually a solid investment opportunity. I've been appointed temporary administrator of the estate. Everything needs to be properly cataloged and secured until we can sort out the inheritance. It's what Dad would have wanted. Appointed by who? I grab the phone. Marcus, we literally just finished the funeral arrangements together on Tuesday. When exactly did you have time to get yourself appointed anything? I've been handling Dad's affairs longer than you think, Riley. Some of us actually stepped up while others were too busy with their own lives to notice Dad needed help. The accusation hits like a slap. I live 20 minutes away and talk to Dad twice a week. I helped him set up his new smartphone just last month. But Marcus has always been good at this, twisting reality until everyone else feels guilty for not seeing what he sees. What affairs? Jenna demands, stepping closer to the phone. Dad was fine. He paid his own bills, mowed his own lawn. What are you talking about? There's a pause that stretches too long. When Marcus speaks again, his voice has that patronizing edge I remember from when we were kids, and he'd explain why I couldn't play with his friends. Dad's been struggling more than he let on. Financial issues. Health scares he didn't want to worry you girls about. I've been helping him navigate some complications. Bullshit. The word comes out harsher than I intended, but I'm done with his cryptic non-answers. Dad's mortgage was paid off. His finances were simple: pension, social security, that small savings account. What complications? Look, we can discuss this properly once the estate attorney reviews everything. I'm trying to protect Dad's assets here. The responsible thing is to secure the property until... Since when are you the responsible one? The question explodes out of me before I can stop it. You're the one who borrowed $3,000 from Dad last Christmas for that bathroom renovation business that mysteriously never happened. You're the one who moved back in with Mom and Dad twice because you couldn't make rent. So forgive me if I'm having trouble buying this sudden transformation into the family's financial guardian. That's enough, Riley. His voice drops to that cold tone I know means he's really angry. You've always resented that Dad and I had a different relationship. That he trusted me with things he didn't trust you with. Mom's face crumbles, and I realize this is exactly what Marcus wants, to divide us, to make us question ourselves while he does whatever he's really planning to do. I want to see these documents, I say. The administrator paperwork. Whatever gave you the legal right to change the locks on a house that belongs to all of us. I'll have my attorney send copies to everyone once. Your attorney? Jenna interrupts. Since when do you have an attorney? Last month you were asking me if I could spot you $40 for gas money. Another pause. Things change, Jen. I'm trying to handle Dad's affairs with the seriousness they deserve. I know this is emotional for everyone, but someone has to think clearly here. I walk to the side of the house and peer into Dad's workshop window. The space looks wrong, organized in a way Dad never would have organized it. Tools arranged by size instead of frequency of use. Dad's coffee-stained workbench cleared of the comfortable clutter that had lived there for 20 years. Marcus, how many times have you been in the house since Dad died? I ask. I don't see how that's. How many times? I've been checking on things. Making sure everything's secure. But I'm not listening to his explanation anymore. I'm staring through the workshop window at Dad's old filing cabinet, the dented gray metal one where he kept important papers. The lock is broken, hanging open, and I can see that most of the files are gone. Mom, I say quietly, gesturing for her to come look. When's the last time you remember Dad opening that filing cabinet? She peers through the window and gasps. Those were his insurance papers. The deed to the house. Oh my God, Marcus, what have you done? The phone line goes dead. We stand there staring at the silent phone for what feels like an hour but is probably only 30 seconds. Mom's breathing has gone shallow, and I can practically hear the gears turning in Jenna's head. She inherited Dad's methodical problem-solving brain, the one that made him legendary for fixing anything mechanical. We need to call the police, Mom says, but her voice lacks conviction. This is theft. Breaking and entering. Something. Is it though? Jenna pulls out her own phone and starts typing. If he really does have some kind of legal paperwork. I'm already walking back to my car. There's one way to find out. Mrs. Henderson sees everything that happens on this street. If Marcus has been coming and going for weeks, she'll know. Mrs. Henderson answers her door before I finish knocking, which means she's been watching this whole disaster unfold from her living room window. She's 83, sharp as a tack, and has been Dad's neighbor for 15 years. More importantly, she never liked Marcus. That boy's been here almost every day since your father passed, she says without preamble, ushering us into her kitchen. But even before that, Riley. Going back maybe 6 weeks? I saw him here on weekdays when your dad should have been alone. What kind of days? I ask. Like, stopping by after work, or morning visits. Long ones. And your father? She hesitates, glancing at Mom. Your father looked upset after some of those visits. I saw him sitting on the back porch afterwards, just staring at nothing. That wasn't like him. Mom sinks into one of Mrs. Henderson's kitchen chairs. He never said anything to me. We talked every morning when I got home from my shift at the hospital. He never mentioned Marcus having problems or needing help with anything. What about the week before Dad died? Jenna asks. Did you see Marcus then? Mrs. Henderson nods grimly. Tuesday and Thursday. Both times he left carrying boxes. I remember because I was watering my tomatoes and I thought it was odd. If your father was giving him something, why didn't he help carry it to the car? My stomach drops. Dad didn't help him carry boxes? Your father stayed inside. Marcus made several trips both days, loading up that blue Ford of his. I almost went over to check on your dad Thursday evening, but then I saw him come out to get the mail, so I figured he was fine. But I'm remembering Thursday now. Dad called me that night, which was unusual because he normally called Sunday evenings. He'd sounded tired, older somehow, and when I asked if everything was okay, he'd said something about family obligations and making sure you girls are taken care of. At the time, I thought he was just feeling sentimental. Mrs. Henderson, I say carefully, in those boxes Marcus was carrying, could you tell how heavy they were? Heavy enough that he was making multiple trips instead of grabbing 2 at once. That boy's strong from all his construction work, so whatever was in there had some weight to it. We thank Mrs. Henderson and walk back toward Dad's house in silence. The sun is starting to set, casting long shadows across the lawn that Dad always kept perfectly manicured. Mom stops at his flower bed, the one where he planted different varieties of roses for each of his 3 children. He was protecting us from something, she says quietly. That's why he didn't tell me about Marcus's visits. Your father only kept secrets when he thought the truth would hurt someone he loved. Jenna's phone buzzes. She glances at the screen and her face goes pale. Guys? I just got a Google alert for Dad's address. There's a for sale by owner listing that went live 20 minutes ago. I grab her phone and stare at the screen. There's Dad's house, photographed from the curb, with an asking price of $340,000, about $40,000 under market value for a quick sale. The listing agent is Marcus Sullivan. He's not planning to divide anything, I whisper. He's planning to sell. The real estate listing feels like a punch to the gut, but it's the photos that make me physically sick. Marcus didn't just take pictures from the curb, he's been inside, staging the house for sale. Dad's living room has been rearranged, his personal items cleared away, replaced with generic throw pillows and fake plants. It looks like a model home, sterile and empty of any trace that our father lived there for 18 years. The listing says estate sale, motivated seller, Jenna reads, scrolling through the details. Available for immediate occupancy. Jesus, Riley, he's already cleaned out half of Dad's stuff. Mom's staring at her phone now too, and I can see the exact moment she spots a photo of Dad's bedroom, the quilt her mother made still on the bed, but everything else sanitized and impersonal. Where are his things? His clothes, his books, the watch collection? Probably in Marcus's garage, waiting for him to decide what's worth selling on eBay, I say, but even as the words come out, I realize that's not Marcus's style. He's not sentimental enough to hang on to Dad's belongings, and he's too impatient to deal with individual sales. Or already donated. He'd want them gone fast. My phone rings. Unknown local number. Riley Sullivan? This is Janet Park from Park and Associates Real Estate. I'm calling about the property listing on Oak Ridge Drive. My clients are very interested and would like to schedule a viewing tomorrow morning if possible. I look at Jenna and Mom, both staring at me with identical expressions of horror. I'm sorry, what property? The 4-bedroom colonial? Your brother Marcus said you're co-handling the estate sale and that I should coordinate with both of you for showings. We have cash buyers who are pre-approved and ready to move quickly. How quickly? I managed to ask. They're hoping to close within 2 weeks. Is that timeline realistic? 2 weeks. My dad has been dead for 8 days, and Marcus is trying to sell his house and erase his existence in 2 weeks. Ms. Park, can I ask when you first spoke with my brother about listing this property? Let me check my notes. We had our initial consultation on Tuesday the 18th. He was very eager to get things moving, which I understand in estate situations. Families often want to resolve these matters quickly to avoid prolonged grief. Tuesday the 18th. I pull up the calendar on my phone and count backwards. That was the day before Dad's funeral. While Mom and I were at the funeral home finalizing arrangements, while Jenna was driving up from college, Marcus was meeting with a real estate agent. Ms. Park, I need to ask you to hold off on any showings. There's been a miscommunication about the estate proceedings. Oh. Her voice shifts, becoming more cautious. Is there a legal issue? Marcus provided documentation showing he has authority to handle the sale. What kind of documentation? Power of attorney, estate administrator appointment through probate court. Everything seemed in order. After I hang up, the 3 of us sit in my car outside Dad's house like we're conducting surveillance. Which, I realize, is exactly what we're doing. Power of attorney has to be signed by the person granting it, Mom says slowly. Your father never mentioned signing anything like that to me. And estate administrator? Jenna's still Googling on her phone. It says here that usually takes weeks to process through probate court, especially when there's no will. Dad's only been gone 8 days. Unless Marcus filed for it before Dad died, I say, the possibility hitting me like ice water. If he had power of attorney, he could have started the probate process while Dad was still alive. Mom's face drains of color. You think Marcus knew? About your father's heart attack? No, I say quickly, but my mind is racing. But what if Dad was sicker than we knew? What if Marcus convinced him to sign papers just in case? Dad trusted him. Jenna looks up from her phone. Riley, there's something else. I found Marcus's gambling account. The words hit me like a physical blow. His what? Jenna turns her phone screen toward us, showing what looks like a betting website dashboard. I've been trying to figure out how he suddenly has money for attorneys and real estate agents. So I checked his social media, and he's been posting photos from that new casino over in Riverside. But look at this, he tagged himself there, and his location services were on. I was able to trace back to this account. How did you? Never mind, I don't want to know. Jenna inherited more than Dad's mechanical brain. She got his scary ability to find information when he was determined. What does it show? Transaction history going back 14 months. Riley, he's not just gambling. He's losing. Big. She scrolls through screen after screen of red numbers. 1,500 here, 2,000 there, 800, 3,000. And look at this, a $12,000 loss on February 3rd. My stomach lurches. February 3rd was Dad's birthday. We all went to dinner at Romano's, remember? Marcus said he had food poisoning and left early. He wasn't sick, Mom whispers. He was at the casino. But Jen is not done. The worst part? Look at the deposit history. These aren't small paychecks being deposited and then gambled away. Someone's been making large cash deposits into his account to fund this. 4,000 in January, 6,000 in March, 10,000 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Right around the time Mrs. Henderson said Marcus started his frequent visits to Dad's house. Mom, I say carefully, did Dad keep cash in the house? Like, significant amounts? She nods slowly. He never trusted banks completely. Always kept what he called emergency money in that filing cabinet in his workshop. Maybe $3,000 or $4,000. What about his savings account? The one he mentioned having for household repairs? Last I knew, around 15,000. But that was months ago. Mom's voice is getting smaller. He handled his own finances. I never asked for details. Jenna's fingers are flying across her phone screen. I can't access Dad's bank records from here, but I can see Marcus's deposit pattern. It matches exactly with those Tuesday and Thursday visits Mrs. Henderson mentioned. Every time he visited Dad, money showed up in his gambling account within 24 hours. The picture forming in my head makes me nauseous. Marcus systematically draining Dad's savings, probably with some story about needing help with bills or emergency expenses. Dad, generous to a fault with his children, never questioning why his oldest son needed so much help so often. That's why Dad sounded strange that Thursday night when he called me, I realize out loud. He'd just figured out what was happening. Maybe he found out about the gambling, or realized how much money was actually gone. But he still wouldn't have signed over power of attorney, Mom insists. Not willingly. Your father was generous, but he wasn't stupid. My phone buzzes with another text from Marcus, asterisk spoke with realtor. Showing scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please don't interfere with estate business, asterisk. I stare at the message, and something clicks into place. Jenna, can you check something else? Can you see when that power of attorney was supposedly signed? She's already pulling up another screen. According to the real estate agent's notes that I may have accidentally accessed, it's dated March 15th. March 15th. I close my eyes and try to remember. Mom, what was happening on March 15th? That's about 6 weeks ago. I was working double shifts that whole week because Janet was out with pneumonia. 12-hour days at the hospital. Mom's face crumples as she realizes the implication. Your father was home alone most of that week. Alone and vulnerable. Marcus could have brought papers, told Dad they were routine financial documents, maybe even explained them as something simple like updating his emergency contacts at the bank. Dad, trusting his oldest son, probably didn't read every line of legal text. We need those original documents, I say. The power of attorney, the administrator paperwork, everything Marcus used to get control of the house. How are we going to get them if he won't even let us inside? Jenna asks. I look at Dad's house, sitting there like a stranger's home with its changed locks and staged interior. Marcus has made one critical mistake in his rush to cash out Dad's life. He's underestimated how far we're willing to go to fight for what's ours. We're going to that showing tomorrow, I say. As potential buyers. The next morning, I'm sitting in a rental car across the street from Dad's house at 9:45 a.m., wearing my most conservative blazer and clutch purse, trying to look like someone with $340,000 in cash burning a hole in their pocket. Jenna's in the passenger seat, having borrowed Mom's reading glasses and swept her hair into a severe bun that makes her look older than her 22 years. I feel like we're in a terrible spy movie, she whispers, adjusting the glasses. Just remember, we're the Petersons, we're relocating from Chicago for my husband's job, and we need to close quickly because our lease is up, I remind her. And keep your phone recording everything. A white BMW pulls up at exactly 10 a.m., followed 30 seconds later by Marcus's blue Ford. My stomach clenches as I watch my brother get out of his truck, dressed in khakis and a button-down shirt I've never seen before. He looks confident, relaxed even, as he shakes hands with a woman in a red blazer who must be Janet Park. Here we go, Jenna mutters, and we cross the street. Marcus's face goes through about 5 different expressions when he sees us walking up the driveway. Confusion, recognition, anger, and then a forced smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Riley? What are you doing here? Mr. Sullivan? Janet Park extends her hand to me before Marcus can say anything else. I'm so glad we could arrange this showing. Are these your sisters you mentioned? I can practically see Marcus's brain working, trying to figure out how to explain our presence without blowing up his sale. Yes, these are my sisters. They're here for emotional support. This is difficult for the family. Of course, Janet says sympathetically. Estate sales are never easy. Shall we go inside? Walking into Dad's house feels like entering a museum exhibit titled Generic American Home. The smell is wrong, pine sol and carpet cleaner instead of Dad's aftershave and the coffee he always had brewing. Marcus has replaced Dad's favorite recliner with a beige armchair from God knows where, and the walls where family photos used to hang are bare except for a few strategically placed landscape prints. As you can see, the home has been beautifully maintained, Janet says, leading us into the living room. The current owner was very meticulous about upkeep. Was. Past tense. Like Dad never existed. What happened to the previous owner? Jenna asks innocently. Did he move to assisted living? Actually, Mr. Sullivan's father passed away recently, Janet explains. Marcus has been handling all the estate details. It's wonderful when families can work together during difficult times. I watch Marcus's jaw tighten. The family's been very supportive of my decisions, he says carefully. We follow Janet through the house, and I'm documenting everything with my eyes. Dad's bedroom has been completely stripped of personality, his books are gone, his reading lamp, the photo of Mom from their honeymoon that sat on his nightstand for 30 years. The dresser where he kept his watch collection is empty except for a generic table runner. Plenty of storage space, Janet notes, opening the closet that used to hold Dad's clothes. It's been painted and is completely empty except for wire hangers. What about personal property? I ask. Did the family keep the previous owner's belongings? Marcus steps closer to me. Mrs. Peterson, I'm sure you understand that estate details are private family matters. But Janet's already answering. Oh, the family was very generous. Most of the clothing and personal items were donated to charity. Marcus said his father would have wanted his things to help others. My hands clench into fists. Dad's grandfather's watch, the one he promised would go to his first grandson someday. Mom's father's war medals that Dad kept in his dresser drawer. His collection of first edition Hemingway novels. All of it, donated or thrown away like it meant nothing. That's lovely, Jenna says, her voice remarkably steady. It sounds like his father was a special man. He was, Marcus says, and for just a second his mask slips. There's genuine grief in his voice, which somehow makes this whole charade even more horrifying. We move into Dad's workshop, which has been completely sanitized. The coffee stains are gone from his workbench. His tools are organized in a way that would have driven him crazy. And the filing cabinet, Dad's old gray filing cabinet, has been completely emptied and left hanging open. This space would make an excellent home office, Janet says. Or perhaps a craft room. What about important documents? I ask, walking over to the filing cabinet. Did the family retrieve all the paperwork they needed? Everything's been properly handled, Marcus says quickly. All important documents are with the appropriate attorneys and financial institutions. But as I run my hand along the inside of the filing cabinet, I feel something. A small piece of paper, wedged in the back corner behind the bottom drawer. I palm it quickly while Janet's explaining the electrical outlets to Jenna. Well, I say, checking my watch. This has been very informative. We'll need to discuss it with my husband, of course. Of course, Janet beams. But don't wait too long. I have 3 other showings scheduled for this afternoon, and in this market, quality properties move fast. As we're walking back toward the street, Marcus grabs my arm. What the hell do you think you're doing? House hunting, I say innocently. Isn't that what people do at open houses? Cut the crap, Riley. You can't afford this place, and we both know it. Maybe not, I agree. But I can afford a lawyer. Funny thing about power of attorney documents, Marcus. They have to be witnessed and notarized. And witnesses have to be interviewed during probate proceedings. His grip on my arm tightens. Dad wanted me to handle this. He trusted me. Dad trusted you with $3,000 last Christmas too, and you spent it at Rivers Casino instead of starting that bathroom business. I pull my arm free. The difference is, this time there are legal documents involved. Documents that can be verified. As Jenna and I walk back to the rental car, I unfold the piece of paper I found in the filing cabinet. It's a handwritten note in Dad's careful script. March 15th, Am says these papers are for emergency contact at First National. Something doesn't feel right. Call Riley tomorrow. But Dad never called me. Because he died the next morning. The note in Dad's handwriting feels like it's burning a hole in my pocket as Jenna and I sit in the rental car, watching Marcus shake hands with Janet Park before she drives away. He stands in the driveway for a long moment, staring at our car, before getting in his truck and disappearing down Oak Ridge Drive. We need to get to First National Bank, I tell Jenna, starting the engine. Right now, before Marcus realizes what we found. First National is where Dad did his banking for 23 years, where he knew all the tellers by name and always brought them cookies at Christmas. If anyone would remember him coming in with Marcus on March 15th, it would be them. The branch manager, Mrs. Chen, remembers me from when I used to deposit my babysitting money in high school. Her face lights up when she sees me, then immediately softens with sympathy. Riley, honey, I'm so sorry about your father. He was such a lovely man. We all miss seeing him come in for his weekly deposits. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. Actually, that's part of why I'm here. We're trying to piece together some of Dad's final financial arrangements, and I was wondering if you remember him coming in around March 15th. He might have been with my brother Marcus. Her expression shifts, becoming more cautious. I'm afraid I can't discuss specific account details without proper authorization, but... She glances around the mostly empty bank, then lowers her voice. Your father seemed very confused that day. He kept asking Marcus to explain what the papers were for, and Marcus kept saying they were just updating his emergency contacts. My heart starts pounding. But they weren't emergency contact forms, were they? I can't say specifically what they were, but your father asked me to witness his signature on several documents. Banking policy requires me to verify that signers understand what they're signing. She pauses, choosing her words carefully. I asked your father if he wanted me to explain any of the legal language, and Marcus said it wasn't necessary, that he'd already gone over everything with him. Jenna leans forward. Did Dad seem like he understood what he was signing? Your father was a smart man, but those documents were very technical. Power of attorney paperwork, estate planning documents, not the kind of thing most people deal with regularly. Mrs. Chen's voice drops even lower. Between you and me, I suggested your father might want to have an attorney review everything before signing, but Marcus said they were on a tight timeline for some financial planning deadline. What kind of deadline? I ask. Something about tax advantages that expired at the end of March. Marcus made it sound very urgent. She shakes her head. Your father signed everything, but he looked troubled when they left. He even came back about an hour later by himself to ask if there was a way to put conditions on the power of attorney. What did you tell him? That he'd need to contact the attorney who prepared the documents. Any modifications would have to go through legal channels. Mrs. Chen looks genuinely distressed now. He asked me for the name of a good lawyer who wasn't connected to Marcus's attorney. I gave him Jim Rodriguez's card from Rodriguez and Associates. Your father said he was going to call him the next day. But Dad died the next morning, before he could call anyone. Mrs. Chen, is there any record of what accounts Marcus has accessed since Dad passed away? Jenna asks. I really can't discuss specific account activity, but I can tell you that we're required to flag any unusual activity on accounts belonging to recently deceased customers. Especially when large amounts are being moved quickly. How large? I ask. She glances around again, then pulls up something on her computer screen. The power of attorney your brother presented allows him full access to your father's checking and savings accounts. Since March 16th, there have been significant withdrawals. The accounts that had approximately $18,000 in combined balances are now substantially lower. My stomach drops. $18,000. That was Dad's emergency fund, the money he'd saved for home repairs and unexpected expenses. Money he'd accumulated over years of careful budgeting and modest living. Mrs. Chen, when was the last withdrawal? Yesterday morning. A cashier's check for $8,700. Made out to Rivers Casino and Resort. The blood drains from my face. Marcus wasn't just stealing Dad's money to pay off old gambling debts. He was still gambling, using Dad's life savings to fund his addiction even after the funeral. Is there any way to stop further withdrawals? I ask desperately. Not without a court order or evidence of fraud. The power of attorney is legally binding until it's challenged through proper channels. She leans forward sympathetically. But Riley, if you believe there was fraud involved in obtaining those signatures, you need to contact an attorney immediately. Every day that passes makes it harder to recover assets that have been improperly transferred. As we're leaving the bank, my phone buzzes with another text from Marcus. Heard you were asking questions around town. Some advice, drop it. Dad made his wishes clear, and I'm following them exactly. Don't make this uglier than it needs to be. He knows we were at the bank, Jenna says, reading over my shoulder. How does he already know? I think about Mrs. Chen's nervous glances around the bank, her careful choice of words. Small town. Someone probably called him the minute we walked in there. But as we get back in the car, I notice a blue Ford truck parked 3 spaces down from us. Marcus isn't just monitoring the house anymore. He's following us. Jenna, I say quietly, we need to assume Marcus is watching everything we do from now on. Which means we need to get smarter about how we do this. She nods, but I can see the fear creeping into her eyes. We're not just dealing with a family dispute anymore. We're up against someone who's stolen $18,000 and has the legal paperwork to justify it. Someone who's desperate enough to sell our childhood home in 2 weeks to cover his gambling debts. Someone who's running out of time and money, which makes him dangerous. My phone rings at 6:47 a.m., jarring me out of the first real sleep I've had in 3 days. The caller ID shows Rodriguez and Associates, the law firm Mrs. Chen mentioned, the one Dad was planning to call before he died. Miss Sullivan? This is Jim Rodriguez. I'm calling because your father contacted my office on March 16th to schedule an appointment. Obviously, given the circumstances. His voice trails off diplomatically. I was wondering if you might want to discuss the matter he was concerned about. I'm instantly awake, grabbing a pen from my nightstand. What did he say when he called? He was worried about some legal documents he'd signed the previous day. Said his son had rushed him through the process and he wanted an independent attorney to review everything. Specifically, he mentioned a power of attorney that seemed too broad for what he thought he was agreeing to. Did he say anything else? Anything specific about what Marcus told him the papers were for? Your father was quite detailed, actually. He said Marcus claimed there were new banking regulations requiring emergency contact authorizations for accounts over $10,000. Something about Homeland Security requirements. Rodriguez pauses. Miss Sullivan, there are no such regulations. Your brother essentially lied to your father about what those documents would authorize. I sink back against my pillows, the full scope of Marcus's manipulation hitting me. So the signatures were obtained through fraud? That would be my assessment, yes. The question is whether we can prove it in court before too many assets disappear. I understand there's been significant financial activity on your father's accounts? Before I can answer, Jenna bursts into my apartment without knocking, her face pale and her laptop clutched against her chest. She starts talking before the door closes behind her. Riley, we have a problem. Marcus cleaned out Dad's accounts completely yesterday afternoon. But that's not the worst part. She sets her laptop on my kitchen table, screen already open to Marcus's gambling account. Look at this. I tell Rodriguez I'll call him back and hang up to focus on Jenna's screen. The transaction history shows a deposit yesterday at 3:22 p.m., $9,400. The remaining balance from Dad's life savings. He's not paying off old debts, I whisper, staring at the numbers. He's still gambling. It gets worse. Jenna scrolls down to show transactions from yesterday evening. He lost it all by 11 p.m. Every penny Dad saved over the past 5 years, gone in one night at the poker tables. My phone starts buzzing with text messages. The first one is from Mom. Marcus says you've been harassing his real estate agent and interfering with the house sale. He wants to meet this morning to discuss boundaries. What is going on? The second is from Marcus himself. 9 a.m. Romano's restaurant. Come alone. Time to settle this like adults. Romano's. The same restaurant where we had Dad's last birthday dinner while Marcus snuck off to lose $12,000 at the casino. He's escalating, I tell Jenna, showing her the messages. And he's trying to turn Mom against us. Are you going to meet him? I look at Jenna's laptop screen, at the evidence of Marcus systematically destroying Dad's legacy one poker hand at a time. Yeah, I'm going. But not alone, and not to negotiate. At 8:45 a.m., I'm sitting in a booth at Romano's with a small digital recorder in my purse and Jim Rodriguez's business card in my wallet. Through the window, I watch Marcus's blue Ford pull into the parking lot. He sits in his truck for almost 5 minutes before coming inside, and when he finally walks through the door, he looks terrible. Unshaven, bloodshot eyes, wearing the same clothes from yesterday's house showing. He slides into the booth across from me without ordering anything, his hands shaking slightly as he clasps them on the table. You need to back off, Riley, he says without preamble. This doesn't concern you. Dad's house doesn't concern me? His money doesn't concern me? I keep my voice level, but inside I'm cataloging every detail, his dilated pupils, the sweat on his forehead despite the restaurant's air conditioning, the way he keeps checking his phone. Marcus, you look like hell. When's the last time you slept? Don't. His voice cracks. Don't try to make this about me needing help. This is about Dad's wishes and following through on his decisions. His decision to give you power of attorney so you could steal $18,000 and lose it in one night at Rivers Casino? The color drains from his face. How did you? I know everything, Marcus. The forged story about banking regulations. The gambling addiction. The fact that Dad tried to call an attorney the day after he signed your papers. I lean forward. The only thing I don't know is whether you're going to come clean to Mom yourself, or if I'm going to have to show her the bank records. He's quiet for so long I think he might actually confess. Then his expression hardens, and I see a flash of something desperate and mean in his eyes. You can't prove anything, he says. And if you try to cause problems with the house sale, I'll make sure Mom knows exactly how little you cared about Dad while he was alive. How you were too busy with your own life to notice he was struggling. The thread hangs between us like poison, but I'm done being manipulated by Marcus's twisted version of our family history. Try me, I say, standing up. Because I've got news for you, Marcus. Dad left us one more gift. He wrote down everything. The lie comes out of my mouth so smoothly that for a second I almost believe it myself. Marcus's face goes through a series of micro-expressions, confusion, fear, calculation, before settling on forced skepticism. You're bluffing, he says, but his voice wavers. Dad didn't write anything down. He trusted me to handle everything. I pull out my phone and open the Notes app, angling it so he can see I'm scrolling through something, but not what specifically. March 12th, Marcus asking for money again, says it's for truck repairs but his Ford runs fine. March 15th, those papers didn't feel right, something about emergency contacts but why so many pages? March 18th, called the bank, Mrs. Chin says I should get a lawyer. Marcus's hands have gone completely still on the table. Where did you find that? Does it matter? I put my phone away, watching his face carefully. The point is, Dad documented your lies. Every conversation, every suspicious request for money, every time something didn't add up. That's impossible. I was with him when he cuts himself off, but not before I catch the slip. When what, Marcus? When he died. I lean forward. You told everyone you found him when you came to check on him that morning. But Mrs. Henderson saw your truck in the driveway the night before. This is another calculated gamble. I have no idea if Mrs. Henderson saw anything that night, but Marcus's reaction tells me everything I need to know. His face goes ashen, and he starts fidgeting with his phone like it might provide an escape route. I stopped by to bring him dinner, he says quickly. We talked for maybe an hour. He was fine when I left. What did you talk about? Family stuff. Normal things. But sweat is beading on his forehead now. Look, Riley, maybe we can work something out here. The house sale, we could split it 3 ways instead of going through probate. You, me, and Jenna. Mom's got the house she's renting, she doesn't need the hassle of maintaining Dad's place. The desperation in his voice is palpable. He's trying to negotiate, which means he's scared. What about Mom's share? She'll get Dad's life insurance. That's plenty. He's talking faster now, the words tumbling over each other. The house sale could close next week. Cash buyers, no inspections, clean and simple. You'd have your share by Friday. My share of what, exactly? You've already stolen everything liquid Dad had. I watch him flinch at the word stolen. And what happens when the buyers find out you don't actually have legal authority to sell? I have power of attorney. The paperwork is solid. Paperwork obtained through fraud isn't solid, Marcus. It's criminal. I stand up, slinging my purse over my shoulder. You have until tonight to figure out how you're going to explain this to Mom. Because tomorrow morning, I'm filing a fraud complaint with the county attorney's office. Wait. He grabs my wrist as I start to walk away, his grip tight enough to hurt. You don't understand the kind of pressure I'm under. These people, the money I owe, they're not patient. For the first time since this nightmare started, I see genuine fear in Marcus's eyes. Not fear of getting caught, but fear of something else entirely. What people? It doesn't matter. But if this house sale doesn't go through. He releases my wrist, running both hands through his hair. Riley, I'm in deep. Deeper than just the casino. I made some private bets, took some loans to cover losses. These aren't the kind of people who accept payment plans. The pieces click into place with sickening clarity. Marcus isn't just a gambling addict who got in over his head. He's borrowed money from loan sharks, and now he's trying to use Dad's house to buy his way out of whatever hole he's dug himself into. How much do you owe? $43,000. Due Monday. My blood runs cold. Monday is 4 days away. Marcus, what happens on Monday if you don't pay? He won't meet my eyes. Let's just say they made it very clear that Dad's house isn't the only family asset they're aware of. The threat is unmistakable. He's not just gambling with Dad's legacy anymore, he's put all of us at risk. The restaurant suddenly feels too small, too exposed. I look around at the other diners, an elderly couple sharing pancakes, a mom with 2 kids arguing over syrup, and realize we're having this conversation about loan sharks and threats in the middle of Romano's Tuesday morning breakfast rush. We need to get out of here, I say quietly. Follow me to the parking lot. Outside, Marcus leans against his truck like his legs might give out. Up close, I can see the full extent of how badly he's unraveling. There's a bruise on his jawline that wasn't there yesterday, and when he pulls out his phone to check the time, his hands are shaking badly enough that he nearly drops it. Marcus, what happened to your face? Nothing. I fell. But he won't look at me when he says it. Riley, you have to understand, these people don't care about probate procedures or legal technicalities. They want their money on Monday, and they know where Mom lives. They know where you work. They know Jenna goes to state. My stomach drops. You gave them information about us? They already had it. They do research on anyone who takes their money. Background checks, family members, assets. He's pacing now, wearing a path in the gravel. I thought I could handle this quietly. Win enough to pay them back, get Dad's finances straightened out, nobody gets hurt. But the cards haven't been. Stop. I hold up my hand. Just stop. You don't get to blame the cards or bad luck or anything else. You stole $18,000 from Dad and lost it in one night because you have a gambling addiction. It wasn't supposed to be stealing. The words explode out of him. Dad was sick, Riley. Sicker than any of you knew. His heart was failing, his blood pressure was through the roof. He had maybe 6 months left, and he knew it. The parking lot tilts around me. What are you talking about? He'd been to 3 cardiologist appointments since January. Didn't want to worry Mom or you girls until he knew for sure. Marcus's voice cracks. He was going to tell everyone after Easter. He asked me to help him get his affairs in order. That's not, Dad was fine. He was working in his garden a week before he died. He helped Mom move her dresser upstairs. He was on borrowed time and medication that kept him functional. The power of attorney was his idea, Riley. He wanted to make sure someone could handle things when he couldn't anymore. Marcus wipes his nose with the back of his hand. I was supposed to protect his money, not lose it at the fucking poker table. Even through my shock, something doesn't add up. If Dad knew he was sick, why didn't he write a will? Why keep it secret? Because he was Dad. He thought he could fix everything, handle everything, protect everyone right up until the end. Marcus kicks at the gravel. But when I told him about the gambling debts, about the people I owed money to, he panicked. Started talking about changing the power of attorney, limiting what I could access. So you let him die thinking you betrayed him. The accusation hits Marcus like a physical blow. He actually staggers backward against his truck. I didn't let him do anything. He had a heart attack before we could figure out a solution. And now I'm trying to clean up this mess before Mom and you and Jenna end up paying for my mistakes. By selling his house to criminals? By selling his house to anyone who'll pay cash and close fast. Marcus's voice rises, then he glances around and lowers it again. These aren't movie villains, Riley. They're businessmen. They want their money, not a family drama. If I can pay them Monday, everyone walks away clean. My phone buzzes with a text from Jenna, *, where are you? Mom's at Dad's house with a locksmith. Says Marcus called her and told her you've been spreading lies about him, *. I show Marcus the message. What did you tell her? The truth. That you've been interfering with the estate sale and making accusations you can't prove. He pulls out his own phone. I also told her you've been claiming Dad left some kind of journal, which we both know is bullshit. But as I watch him scroll through his messages, I realize Marcus has made a critical error in judgment. He's so focused on managing the immediate crisis, the money, the loan sharks, the house sale, that he's forgotten how well Mom knows her own children. Marcus, I say slowly, Mom's going to ask to see Dad's medical records. She's going to want to know why nobody told her he was sick. His face goes completely pale. Shit. Because there are no medical records, are there? Dad wasn't dying. He was fine, and you manipulated him into signing those papers with lies about banking regulations. I step closer to him. Which means everything you just told me is another story you made up to justify stealing from your own father. Marcus doesn't deny it this time. He just stands there, caught between too many lies to keep straight, while my phone starts ringing with a call from Mom. I answer Mom's call while staring directly at Marcus, watching his face crumble as he realizes his web of lies is about to collapse. Riley, what is going on? Mom's voice is sharp with confusion and hurt. I'm standing in your father's house right now, and Marcus is telling me you've been making up stories about him stealing money. But this locksmith says someone reported the locks were changed illegally? Mom, where exactly are you? In the living room. And Riley, this place. Her voice wavers. It doesn't look like Dad's house anymore. Someone's taken down all our family photos. Dad's reading chair is gone. Even the quilt my mother made is missing from his bedroom. I watch Marcus close his eyes in defeat. He knows what's coming. Mom, I need you to go into Dad's workshop and look at his filing cabinet. The gray one where he kept important papers. I'm walking there now. Marcus is following me, and he looks. Riley, he looks terrible. Like he's been sick. There's a pause, then Mom's sharp intake of breath. The filing cabinet is empty. Completely empty. Marcus, where are your father's insurance papers? His deed to the house? I can hear Marcus mumbling something in the background, but Mom cuts him off. Speak up, Marcus James. Where are your father's documents? They're safe, Mom. With the lawyers handling the estate. But his voice is weak, defeated. What lawyers? Your father didn't have lawyers. He did his own taxes on the kitchen table every April and kept his important papers in his filing cabinet for 18 years. Mom's voice is getting stronger, more focused. Riley, talk to me. What has Marcus done? Mom, can you put me on speaker? You're on speaker. I look at Marcus one more time, giving him a final chance to tell the truth himself. He just shakes his head helplessly. Marcus used forged documents to steal $18,000 from Dad's bank accounts. He gambled all of it away at Rivers Casino. Now he's trying to sell Dad's house to pay gambling debts to loan sharks. The silence from Mom's end stretches so long I wonder if the call dropped. Then I hear her voice, deadly quiet, Marcus. Is this true? Mom, it's complicated. I can explain. Is it true that you stole money from your father? Another pause. Yes. Is it true that you've been gambling? Yes. Is it true that you're trying to sell our house without permission from your family? Mom, I can fix this. The house sale will cover everything, Anne. Get out. The force of Mom's voice makes me jump, even over the phone. Get out of this house right now. Give me whatever keys you have, and get out. Mom, please, just let me explain about the people I owe money to. I don't care about the people you owe money to. I care that you stole from your dying father and then lied at his funeral. Her voice breaks slightly, then hardens again. Whatever mess you've made, you fix it without destroying what's left of this family. I hear scuffling sounds, then Mom's voice again. Riley, are you still there? I'm here. Marcus just handed me a set of keys and left. He's getting in his truck now. There's a pause. Honey, how bad is this? How much trouble are we in? I watch Marcus's Ford disappear down the street and think about $43,000 due Monday, loan sharks who know where we all live, and a house that's already been listed for sale to cash buyers. Mom, I say carefully, I think we need to call the police. 2 hours after Marcus drives away, our living room looks like a war room. Mom spread Dad's remaining papers across the coffee table, the few documents Marcus left behind, probably because he didn't think they were important. Jenna's got her laptop open, still tracking his gambling activity. And I'm on the phone with Jim Rodriguez, trying to understand exactly how much legal trouble we're in. The good news, Rodriguez says, is that power of attorney obtained through fraud is legally void. The bad news is that proving fraud and recovering assets are two different battles, and the clock is working against us. What about the house sale? I ask, watching Mom carefully tape Dad's torn insurance policy back together, another thing Marcus apparently rifled through and damaged. Can we stop it? I can file an emergency injunction today, but it'll take 48 hours to get a hearing. If these buyers are willing to close immediately. He pauses. Riley, there's something else you need to consider. If your brother really owes money to dangerous people, and that sale is his only way out, stopping it might put your family in physical danger. Jenna looks up from her laptop. There's been more activity on his account. He made another deposit this morning, $700. That's probably everything he had left in his personal checking. He's still gambling, Mom says, not looking up from the papers. Even now, with everything falling apart, he's still gambling. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, * Ms. Sullivan, this is Janet Park. I've had 3 calls this morning about problems with the Oak Ridge property listing. There seems to be confusion about who has authority to sell. Please call me immediately, *. Before I can respond, another text comes in, this one from Marcus, * tried to explain everything to Mom but she won't listen. Meeting with potential solution this afternoon. Don't do anything until you hear from me, *. Potential solution? I show the message to Jenna. What kind of solution? Jenna's face goes pale as she refreshes Marcus's gambling account. Oh no. Riley, look at this. He just deposited the $700, but there's a credit line attached to the account now. $5,000 limit. He took a cash advance, Mom realizes. He's borrowing more money to gamble with. The house phone rings, making us all jump. Mom answers with a sharp hello, then her face changes. Yes, this is Margaret Sullivan. What? When did this happen? She grabs a pen, scribbling notes as she listens. Yes, I understand. We'll be right there. What was that? I ask as she hangs up. Rivers Casino security. Marcus caused some kind of disturbance at the poker tables an hour ago. They're holding him for local police, but they wanted to notify next of kin. Mom's hands are shaking as she reaches for her purse. They said he was behaving erratically and claiming people were following him. My stomach drops. Mom, we can't go there. If he really owes money to loan sharks, the casino might be the worst place. The front door chime interrupts me. Through the window, I see a black sedan in our driveway that definitely doesn't belong to anyone we know. 2 men in suits are walking up to the front porch. Nobody move, I whisper, pulling Mom and Jenna away from the window. Jenna, call 911 right now. One of the men knocks, 3 sharp, professional raps that somehow sound more ominous than aggressive pounding would have. Mrs. Sullivan? We're here about Marcus. We'd just like to have a conversation. Mom starts toward the door, but I grab her arm. No. We don't talk to anyone without lawyers present. My phone rings. Marcus calling from what I assume is the casino security office. Against my better judgment, I answer. Riley, listen carefully, he says, his voice tight with panic. Those people at Mom's house, don't let them in, but don't call the police either. I'm working on getting the money. Just give me until tonight. Through the door, the polite voice calls again, Mrs. Sullivan, we know you're in there. We're not here to cause trouble. We just want to discuss payment arrangements for Monday. Payment arrangements. Like we're all suddenly responsible for Marcus's debts. Marcus, I hiss into the phone, what did you tell them about us? Nothing. But they know about the house, and they know Dad left assets. They're not going away until this gets resolved. The knocking comes again, and this time it's not quite as polite. The knocking stops abruptly, and through the window I see the 2 men walking back toward their car. But they're not leaving, they're just repositioning, one staying by the sedan while the other walks around to our backyard. They're not going away, I tell Marcus, my voice barely above a whisper. And now one of them is in Mom's backyard. Shit. Marcus's voice cracks. Riley, I think I can get the money. There's a private game tonight, high stakes. If I can get in with what I have left plus the credit line. Are you insane? I cut him off. You want to gamble your way out of a gambling debt? It's not gambling if I know I can win. The guy running it, Tony Breslin, he's been watching me play for months. Says I have natural instincts, just bad luck with the timing. Marcus is talking faster now, the desperation making his words tumble over each other. He's willing to stake me for a percentage. Clean slate if I can turn $5,000 into 50. Mom grabs the phone from my hand. Marcus James Sullivan, you listen to me. You will not bet one more dollar of anyone's money. You will come home right now and we will figure this out together as a family. Mom, you don't understand. These people. I understand that my son has been lying to me for months while stealing from his dying father. Mom's voice is steel. What I don't understand is how you think more gambling is going to fix what gambling broke. The man by the car is now talking on his phone, and I can see him gesturing toward our house. The one in the backyard has disappeared from view, which somehow makes me more nervous than when I could see him. Jenna, are you still on with 911? I ask. She nods, holding up her phone. They're sending a unit, but they said unless the men actually threaten us or try to enter the house, there's not much they can do about people standing in a public driveway. Mrs. Sullivan? The voice comes from directly outside our back door now, making Mom jump. We're not trying to frighten anyone. We just need to confirm some information about property assets. Property assets. They know about Dad's house, which means they know exactly how much Marcus owes and exactly what our family has that could cover it. Marcus, I say into the phone, how much did you tell them about Dad's estate? Just that there was a house. They asked about collateral when I took the larger loans. I had to give them something. His voice is getting smaller. But I never thought. I was supposed to win it back before anyone had to know. Through the front window, I watch a police cruiser turn onto our street. The man by the sedan immediately gets back in his car, and I see him speaking into his phone again. Within 30 seconds, the sedan pulls away from our curb, but slowly, they're not running, just repositioning. The police are here, I tell Marcus. Where are you right now? Still at Rivers. Security is releasing me to the police in a few minutes. Riley, about that private game tonight. No. Mom takes the phone back. Marcus, you're going to come home, and we're going to call Jim Rodriguez, and we're going to figure out how to legally protect this family from your mistakes. What you're not going to do is make things worse. But Mom, if I could just. She hangs up on him. The police officer is now at our front door, and through the window I can see the black sedan parked 3 houses down, its occupants clearly visible and clearly watching. Ladies, the officer says when Mom opens the door, we got a call about suspicious individuals. Everything all right here? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes with a text from the unknown number that messaged earlier, * payment plan discussion postponed until tomorrow 10 a.m. Mr. Sullivan has until then to reconsider tonight's opportunity. Family cooperation appreciated *. They have my phone number now. The police officer takes our statement, but there's frustratingly little he can do. Debt collection isn't illegal, even when it feels intimidating, he explains, glancing down the street where the black sedan still sits. As long as they're not making explicit threats or trespassing, we can't arrest them for sitting in a public street. What about harassment? Mom asks, showing him the text message on my phone. Family cooperation appreciated isn't legally a threat, ma'am. It's vague enough that a good lawyer could argue it's just expressing hope for communication. He hands back my phone with an apologetic look. My advice? Document everything, don't engage with these individuals directly, and consider consulting with an attorney about your son's debts. After he leaves, we sit in the living room with the curtains drawn, feeling like prisoners in Mom's house. Jen is still monitoring Marcus's gambling account, and every few minutes she updates us on new activity. He's accessed the full credit line, she reports at 3:15 p.m. $5,000 withdrawn as cash from the Rivers Casino ATM. He's going to that private game, I realize. Even after everything Mom said, he's still going to try to gamble his way out. Mom stares at Dad's insurance papers, now carefully taped back together. Your father would be heartbroken, she says quietly. Not about the money, he always said money was just paper. But knowing that Marcus was suffering like this and felt like he couldn't come to us for help. My phone rings. Jim Rodriguez calling back. Riley, I've got good news and bad news about the emergency injunction. Good news, I can file it within the hour, and the judge is willing to hear it tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Bad news, Marcus just called my office. My stomach drops. What did he want? He wanted to know if there was a way to voluntarily surrender power of attorney rights in exchange for immunity from fraud prosecution. Specifically, he asked whether signing the house over to a third party would satisfy legal requirements for debt resolution. A third party? You mean the loan sharks? He didn't say explicitly, but the implication was clear. Riley, your brother is trying to negotiate directly with these creditors, probably offering your father's house a settlement. Rodriguez's voice becomes more urgent. If he signs any kind of agreement tonight, even under duress, it could complicate our ability to prove fraud and recover the property. Through the gap in the curtains, I notice the black sedan has moved closer, now parked directly across the street from Mom's house. Mr. Rodriguez, what happens if Marcus doesn't come home tonight? What if he just disappears? Then you're probably looking at a lengthy court battle to prove fraud, while these creditors pursue collection through whatever means they deem necessary. He pauses. Riley, how much do you know about your brother's exact debts? Amounts, terms, who he owes money to? $43,000, due Monday. That's all he told me. That's what he told you. But based on his questions today, I suspect the real number is higher. Rodriguez's voice carries a grim certainty. People don't offer to sign over property worth $300,000 to settle $43,000 in debts. There's more to this story. Jenna's laptop chimes with a new notification. She checks the screen and her face goes white. Riley, there's a message in Marcus's gambling account. It says private table reservation confirmed for 7 p.m. Minimum buy-in, $15,000. House credit extended pending property guarantee. $15,000. Property guarantee. Marcus isn't just gambling with the $5,000 he took from the credit line, he's betting Dad's house itself. We have to find him, I tell Mom, standing up to grab my keys. Before 7 p.m. But as I reach for the door handle, my phone buzzes with a text from Marcus, * game moved to earlier time. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. This time will be different, *. The timestamp shows the message was sent 20 minutes ago. Outside, the black sedan starts its engine. At 11:47 p.m., my phone rings with a call from Rivers Casino security. Marcus is in their parking lot, sitting in his truck, refusing to leave or come inside. He's been there for 3 hours, and they're concerned about his mental state. He keeps saying he can't go home, the security officer explains. Won't tell us who to call, but your number was in his recent contacts. When we arrive, me, Mom, and Jenna in one car, Jim Rodriguez following in his, Marcus looks like he's aged 10 years in one day. He's slumped against his steering wheel, still wearing the same clothes from this morning, staring at nothing. Mom taps on his window. Marcus, open the door. He looks up at us with red-rimmed eyes. I lost it all, he whispers through the glass. Everything. The house, the credit line, even the truck. He gestures weakly at the Ford. This is collateral now too. What happened at the game? I ask as he finally unlocks the door. There was no game. His voice is hollow, defeated. Tony Breslin took the $5,000 as a good faith payment on the $15,000 buy-in, then said the other players backed out. Offered to let me play slots instead. Marcus laughs bitterly. I knew it was stupid, but I thought maybe, just maybe I could turn something into enough to make a dent in what I owe. How much do you really owe? Mom asks, and her voice is gentler than I expected. Marcus pulls out his phone and shows us a calculator screen, $127,000. The original 43 was just the most recent loan. There are others, going back 8 months. He wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. Dad's house was never going to be enough. I couldn't admit how far gone I was. Rodriguez steps forward. Marcus, I need you to listen carefully. Those men who visited your mother's house today, did you sign anything? Agree to anything? They wanted me to sign the house over directly to them. Said they'd call it even for $80,000, considering the quick sale. Marcus shakes his head. I told them I needed to think about it. That's when they said they'd give me until tomorrow morning. You didn't sign anything? No. But they made it clear what happens if I don't have a solution by 10 a.m. Rodriguez nods grimly. Then we have approximately 10 hours to fix this legally. He pulls out his briefcase. Marcus, I need you to sign a statement confessing to the fraud and relinquishing all claims to your father's estate. Voluntarily. What does that mean for him? Mom asks. It means he'll likely face criminal charges, but it also means the power of attorney is voided immediately and the house sale cannot proceed. Rodriguez looks at each of us. More importantly, it means his creditors have no legal claim to family assets that were obtained through fraud. Marcus stares at the confession document for a long time. What about the people I owe money to? They're not going to just disappear because I signed a paper. No, Rodriguez agrees. But without your father's assets as leverage, you become just another debtor who can't pay. They'll have to pursue collection through normal legal channels, wage garnishment, bankruptcy court. It's not pleasant, but it's not dangerous. At 12:23 a.m., in the parking lot of Rivers Casino, Marcus signs the confession. He also signs papers transferring Dad's house back into the estate for proper probate proceedings. At 9:15 a.m., Judge Patricia Morrison voids the fraudulent power of attorney and grants our family full control of Dad's assets. At 10:30 a.m., the black sedan drives away from Mom's house for the last time after Rodriguez's security team informs them that their collateral never legally existed. Marcus pleads guilty to elder fraud and serves 8 months in county jail. When he gets out, he moves to Phoenix to live with our cousin David and work construction. He calls Mom every Sunday and hasn't gambled in 14 months. We kept Dad's house. Jenna graduates in May and wants to live there while she starts her teaching career. Mom visits every afternoon, tending to Dad's roses and slowly filling the rooms back up with family photos and memories. Sometimes I sit in Dad's workshop, now restored exactly the way he kept it, and read the note we found in his filing cabinet. Asterisk, call Riley tomorrow. Asterisk, he never got the chance, but somehow, he still managed to save us all.